Welcome to Act to Love Adoptions podcast. I'm your host, Mackenzie Love, and we have Heidi behind the camera.
Hello.
What's up, Heidi?
Nothing much.
And our guest today, I'm so excited. Her name is Stacia, and she's an adopted mom. And I met you, oh my gosh, 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was at like a small adoption
Panel.
panel.
You were the guest there. I mean, I was the guest. You were the...
I actually wasn't on the panel.
Were you not on the panel?
No. I just got up and talked because that's what I'm good at. I just rose my hand and started talking. So I don't know if they liked that, but I did it anyways.
No, it was good. Obviously helpful because we connected.
We did.
It's a little full circle now.
I know. That was awesome.
That.
Me too. So I would love for you to just start from the beginning and tell us your story.
The whole story.
Yeah, with Duke.
Okay, so living in Utah,
Mm-hmm.
the pressure to have babies is like...
Yeah.
It's
stressful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stacked up against you, I feel like the odds are, you know, the next time you go to your Christmas party after you're married, people are wondering. They're like,
when are you going to push those out?
Is something in there? All right. So my husband and I, we got married. I think I was 19, maybe a couple months away from 20.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, not very long after that, I was like, I'm ready. Are you ready? Which, looking back now, so glad it didn't work out the way we thought it would. But I think that we were trying. You know when you say trying, you're not trying, but you are
Sure.
You're trying.
Yeah.
I think it was about 2.5 years of us sometimes trying and then being like, it must not be the right time.
Right.
So we'll not try. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't ever get on anything.
Yeah.
So we did that for a couple of years. And then we both were thinking, this is weird.
Yeah.
Why isn't something should have maybe happened
Right.
after all this time? And of course, the pressure is just rising because everyone continues to ask. And at that point, we hadn't done any testing.
Yeah.
So I was starting to get worried. And Drake, my husband, was, I don't know if anyone else's spouse is like that. They're like, I think everything's fine.
Yeah, we're good.
We're
we just need to try some more.
So ended up booking an appointment with a friend of mine who works at my OBGYN office. She's a physician's assistant there.
Yeah.
She ran my blood work and then sent out a request to do a semen analysis for my husband, Drake. My blood work came back just fine. No concerns there. And I remember, oh my gosh, she called me. And I didn't, at the time, she called me from the office, right? I think everything has to be documented. So she didn't call me from like her regular phone.
Yeah.
And she leaves me a message. And I can just tell by the way that she's talking. I'm like, oh, something's up.
Yeah.
So she's like, please give me a call. I have your test results. And you know if they don't give you the test results.
I know. I hate that they do that. It's like, okay, so now the anticipation, like just tell me on my message so then I can go to Google and figure it out.
And figure out what's
wrong. And then I'll call you and you can tell me the truth.
And there's like 1 or 2 reasons and you're always like, it's cancer.
Yep, I'm dying.
Okay, so gave her a call back and she was like, okay, so Drake's, his analysis came back as 0. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
She ordered another one. She's like, maybe, we're going to just do another test. Let's make sure. Mm-hmm. So did it again. Same thing. And I always give him, like, you're such a good sport for going to do that.
Right.
He's like, there's just a weird waiting line. And the poor college girl that's checking everybody in for their semen analysis. He's awesome.
That's so funny.
And I remember at that point when she gave me the call the second time, I was wondering, what are the options? What can we do?
Yeah. And
sent us to a urologist who we didn't find anything else out there. And ended up doing what's called an MTESI, where they actually physically go in. Again, poor Drake.
Poor Drake.
Up until delivery of my second child, I was like, you got me on this one. So he had an MTESI, and if they were to have found anything, we would have gone forward and done IVF with ICSI, which is like they take the little sperm and they take your egg and they put it together instead of just putting the sperm in the dish.
Right.
So
okay.
There's some news for you.
I know. This is all new to me, so I love it.
That.
Yeah.
They didn't find anything, which we were anticipating that to be so.
Yeah.
But after that, I remember I think within the month, we were like, okay, well, the next step is adoption.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I think we met maybe in March, April,
Yeah.
May.
I honestly couldn't tell
It doesn't,
you. But yeah.
it doesn't matter. Regardless, it was fast. I remember just wanting to be very proactive. So
Yeah.
within that next month, we ended up getting home study approved. And that's what really led us down the path to adoption. And more importantly, we didn't use an agency. So that's a little bit unique to our story, just because we matched with our son's birth mom over social media, but ended up going to Utah Adoption Specialist panel, meeting you, meeting what is the
adoptive mom.
Yes, I was trying to.
Annette. Yep.
Yes,
and my sister
Annette.
Kylie. Yeah.
Yes, and your sister, which that's like so cool for you.
Yeah.
Just you get
crazy,
a little bit of
a little bit of everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
And from there, we just started advocating for ourselves on social media to hopefully connect with someone that was thinking about placing. Which comes
so I have to back you up a little bit.
Yeah,
oh yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So were you were both of you on the same page when it came to adoption? Like were you guys just okay, that's just our next step. Like let's just go towards that.
I think that we both felt comfortable with the relationship that we had if an adoption never came to be.
Right.
So because that is sometimes people wait a really long time.
Yeah.
And I think it is easy to wait out those years being hard on yourself about not adopting quite yet. So I think we had come to, before that surgery that he had, just the exception of if it's just you and me and our cute dog, like that's
We're
okay.
good. Yeah.
But let's move forward with adoption.
Yeah.
I am 100% way more like full steam ahead than he is.
Yeah.
I was like, we are calling.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
We're doing it right now.
I'm like, actually I sent her a message and I haven't talked to you about it.
I love it.
Yes, he was on board with it. We both didn't know the pros about open adoption.
Yeah.
So before that panel that I met you at, he was like, no. It's closed.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I mean, it still feels weird, but I want to go and learn more. That's how we're going to be able to support any child is learning more about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I initially wanted to close adoption too, just because I wanted to close off that chapter of my life and just move forward. And I wanted him to just know that that's his family.
Yes.
And, you know, you're good. And I know I'm placing you with the right family.
There's some security.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so it was actually the adoptive mom that came to me and said, let's talk about doing an open adoption. And I was like, I don't know. It took me a little bit to warm up to it.
Different.
Yeah. But then she educated me and she was like, look, these are the pros. These are the cons. Yes. And like, you know, I already knew her. I actually didn't go through it. She didn't go through an agency either. So,
remind me how you met?
Social media too. Same thing. Yeah. I
I did probably. I forgot.
No, I'm just laughing because just anyone who knows me knows that I put everything on social media. So I was like, I know that's why I love you. But no, I actually put on my own social media saying I'm looking for a family to place my son with. And really we were bombarded, but it was great. Like it was
sure too.
No,
I'm sure you got.
I probably shouldn't say it like that. I'm just saying, like,
it was
crazy to me.
Me.
Yeah, it was, and just how many people were looking to adopt because it was something it was so foreign to me. You know, I just was not prepared for that. So,
well, and a lot of people don't talk about it. It's not like it used to be a dirty secret.
It is a dirty secret. Like send your daughter to your aunt, sisters, brothers, cousins.
Let them give birth by themselves.
Oh my gosh! Wow, you gained some weight.
Yeah,
but why are you? You were gone for the summer.
Right.
That's horrible.
I know.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
No, it really is. Yeah. It's sad. I'm just glad that it's becoming more. I don't know. People are becoming not so secretive about it.
And naive
and scared almost. Like, I don't know. I'm just really glad that it's moving in the direction that it is.
Same.
So,
and that's why we have this podcast.
Yeah. Yes. Why we do this stuff. That's why we share our stories.
Right. Put ourselves out there. Make fools out of ourselves.
Yeah.
I know I do.
That's true.
No, that's what I do.
If it's admitted, it's okay.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
Oh, I have to admit it because I know people say that. So that's my truth. If I get it out there,
I'm
we're
not
good.
saying anything.
I
I'm being quiet.
love
I
it.
see your face.
I love it.
Yeah. So I totally understand, between closed and open adoption, it gets confusing because closed adoption was something that everyone did,
Yeah.
even
back in the day.
back in the day, way back in the day.
It seems to
But-
be less.
Okay, you're going to make
Yeah.
me feel old because
I
my
know,
first one
sorry.
is closed.
Closed.
I had it closed
I know.
with my first
Yeah.
daughter, but
Yeah. Well, and I mean, even when I placed my son, that was 12 years ago. 12 years ago.
Mhm.
And
That had to have been new.
yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It
New
was new.
concept.
Like because when I went to LDS services, they just told me
Mhm.
close adoption.
Yeah.
And that was
Which-
my only option, which was really weird. So I didn't even know that there was like other ways to go about
Yeah.
it. So anyways,
Mhm.
yeah. So I understand where he was coming from,
Yeah. And I'm glad that we did a little bit of education
Yeah.
for ourselves. And I mean, that's continuous, right? But
Yes.
from the very beginning and going to those classes and listening,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, yep, that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. And I remember just firing up my social media at like 200 followers or something. Like, if anyone you know is looking to play,
I love that
we're
though.
Here.
I love that.
So from that point, we just wanted to share a little bit more about our family.
Yeah.
And why we were hoping to adopt. And people were so cool. There's lots of people that like show up to be in your corner when you
Oh,
share
yeah.
stuff like that.
Good.
And through that though comes a gamut of challenges.
Yes.
I did not realize that I knew that there had to be like people in it to scam you for financial reasons because that makes sense. It's expensive and I think that people like to play on emotions, but I did not understand the emotional scammers.
Oh yeah.
Like I just didn't know that was a thing and then it happens to you and you're like, this is a thing.
Yeah.
And then it happens to you multiple times. You're like, this is a thing.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, we never got far along in the process with anyone, but I was talking. I think we'd been talking for a couple of weeks, and back in the day, they probably still had them. We're not actively looking to adopt right now, but there was Facebook pages and
Yeah.
Facebook scam pages. Did you guys know that?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Know all about them.
Where you'd put like, hey, this is someone's phone number. This
Yep.
is someone's stuff. Is anyone else like talking to them, or has this been a scam? And
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, is it Kara or Cara? Was it Wadsworth? What's her last name? Sorry, there is a blogger,
Uh-huh.
Cara. If you watch this, I love you. Don't know how to say your name. She's adopted 2 young children,
Yeah.
and we both were talking to the same person, but she was telling us different things, so we both knew at that point.
Yeah.
Gosh, something's up.
Yeah. This isn't right.
Yeah, and I ended up just messaging her. I don't remember what I said. I don't think I was too mean, but like,
That's nice. of you.
hey.
I would have been.
I think I might have just sent her a picture of Kara or something like that.
Maybe that's what I would do too. Just like super
passive-aggressive.
passive aggressive. Yeah.
Anyways, but yes, lots of people always messaging to potentially place their child,
Yeah.
which is so mean.
It is.
Oh my goodness.
It's not okay.
No.
Well, we have I'm not sure if I'm allowed to share this.
So
Right.
share it. She's like, I'm not sure.
I don't know what
Well,
you're going to
just
share.
With the adoption agency, we have a scam board for birth moms that come through.
It's the
So-
same as what you're talking
Oh,
about.
cool.
Yeah.
It
But
is.
it's within the agency.
All
Also,
agencies
have
in the United
their own-
States. So
yeah.
we know if someone
Yes.
was trying to place with another adoption agency, we're aware of that.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's really sad that
It's
it
so
comes
sad.
down to
It is
that,
sad,
but I'm
it is
glad
sad.
that there is a resource for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is.
yeah, we
Because
want
you get
to.
your heart so invested.
I
You
know.
do. Yeah. You do.
Yeah, we've been through a lot the last few months with the adoption agency, just with scams and people not being awesome. Like the whole
Like
thing is
somebody-
just,
Mm-hmm.
how could you do that? I couldn't sleep at night.
No.
How
We
do
need to
people
stop,
get away
stop
with that?
catfishing with the
Right.
adoptions? Okay, we need to not catfish
No.
We got to stop
inside
that.
of the adoption world. Okay.
Yes.
But my son's birth mom, Kira,
Mhm.
she ended up messaging us. I think we were 6 months into being on social media, being present on there, like actively looking
Yeah.
for someone to place with us. And we both felt like it was I didn't know if it was legit at first. So good.
Yeah.
But once we met her in person, I was like, all right.
Yeah.
It felt right. And she will say the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
She'd be an awesome person to bring on the show.
I know. I should have had her come on with you. It'd been fun.
There's another, there are endless opportunities.
Yeah. Well, we'll just keep going with it.
It is fine. But she was super sweet. She sent the nicest message, just like trying to get to know us in the very beginning. And then after meeting with her, she told me later, she was like, I knew when I met you.
Mm.
But she, of course, absolutely fine to take time.
Sure.
That is a big thing.
Yeah.
We ended up going to New York on our anniversary, and just happenstance, we're like at the top of the Empire State Building. And I had been chatting with her. It was like November, like National Adoption Month, you know?
Yeah.
And she ended up messaging us and telling us that she was going to place with us. We were at I don't know how we were at the top at the same time. There's a picture of me like crying at the top of the Empire State Building.
See, it's just meant to be.
It was. But she never ever gave me a reason to doubt that things wouldn't go through. But, you know, even after someone tells you absolutely 100% it is still their choice and should be their choice.
Right.
Until after baby is here.
Yeah.
So she never gave me a reason to feel like there was doubt there. But as exciting as it was, it was November, so he was born in January. You know, there's a couple of good months.
Yeah.
Where there's so many emotions.
Oh, yeah.
For everybody. I'm sure for her too. I can't even speak to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Well, and I think for me too, you know, you're so worried about as a birth mom, the things that you're going through.
Yes.
But I also was worrying about, you know, the adoptive family. I wanted to make sure that they knew like I was in this you know, I didn't want them to stress, and I wanted them to feel comfortable to talk to me about things and to be open. And I think that's where our relationship got really strong, was when we decided to just have open communication and, you know, talk about everything that we need to talk about before I placed. And yeah, it was a good experience.
Awesome. But I was like, my cortisol levels, I think, for the next 3 months were really high. And I think too, I wish I could go back and tell myself, I wish there were... Even I used Utah Adoption Specialists for my home study, but I wasn't seeing a counselor. Okay. So the person that we worked with was amazing for like getting the home study accomplished. She did answer any questions that I had, but I really wish and would totally recommend anybody that's going through the process to like beforehand.
You know, and I think that we talked about this before because we do it with the birth parents.
Yes.
But I'm like, adoptive families need to have that same, because we're dealing with a whole bunch of different emotions.
Oh, yeah. And still valid.
Yes.
Well, and not only that, I almost feel like it's harder for the adoptive parents, because not only are you... Well, first of all, you have no control whether or not they're going to place with you.
Yeah.
You have no idea what's going to happen. And I think for me, because I'm a control freak, it would be so hard to not know, like, okay, this is when she's having it. This is when we're going to, you know, this is when this is going to happen. This is when this is going to happen. And that would be really hard. But not only that, you have all this paperwork. You need to, you know, there's all these people checking in on you and making sure you're fit, you know.
Yeah, that's
which is... It's, I mean, it makes sense, but
you're like, why are other people parents?
Exactly. There are a lot of people that I'm like,
If everyone had to go through it, there probably would be less unplanned pregnancies.
I agree.
I think you're right.
But the problem is then people like us would not have children.
I agree.
Yeah.
There's
in
no
those
circumstances
circumstances
scenario inside of it.
No,
but I do wish I was seeing somebody for counseling. I was on anti-anxiety medication, but I mean, she would like just be living her normal life, maybe not taking a little bit longer to reply back to me, and I'd be like,
in your head.
Oh my goodness,
she changed
her mind.
Oh yeah, it's been an hour. And I think too, I wish because of that, we had set up maybe unrealistic expectations for each other. Both she and I did.
Yeah.
Because I was anxious, so I was messaging her.
Yeah.
And I think when you're in a position of thinking about placing, the more you're talking to that person, you're like feeling confident in that person too.
Yeah.
But then after, she has something missing that she carried for 9 months. And now I have this new obligation, which I wanted, but then how do you keep that up?
Right.
I can't not text everybody every day.
Right.
and go not just an hour.
Yeah.
Because you have a new thing going on.
Yeah.
So, if I would have had a counselor, the counselor could have been like, Stacia, if it's been a couple hours, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't text her all the time, or just not have the expectation that both of us had to respond back. And just, man, because after, when you have a baby, it doesn't matter adopted or not.
Right.
Life is
crazy. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
You
for
think
sure.
You have it all together, and then quickly you're like,
Yeah.
No.
No.
I don't have it all together. That's just how it is.
Well, and there's no
Yeah.
playbook, right? Like,
No.
of course, we could all go back and change certain things, but
Yes.
you guys were doing the best you can. So
Yeah,
I
for
do.
what I knew.
Yeah, exactly. But I
Mhm.
do think that's great advice for people who are also adopting to get a counselor or someone.
Beforehand.
Yeah,
We
someone
don't
that they
wait.
can talk.
Well, see,
And through
the
the
things
process
that
and stuff.
you're talking about, we do have people that you could have
the
asked
agency.
at
Sure.
the agency that are your caseworker and stuff that
Yes.
could have answered
I-
those questions.
Yeah.
I just
but-
wish it would be like mandatory instead of the
Yeah.
mandatory like fingerprints. It's like it's mandatory
Yeah.
that you have some counseling.
Right. That
Like-
you get the help that you need. Yeah. No, mental health is just as important,
Mhm.
if not more important than,
Yes.
all of
yeah,
that.
your physical that you have to
Yeah.
get done for it. They're like,
Yeah,
we need
all
to
of
make sure
that.
that your
Healthy.
23-year-old self is
Yeah.
fit. I'm like, I mean, I have some anxiety, but I think
Yeah.
I'm fit. I'm just kidding. No. But yes, recommendation for sure. Get some counseling.
Yeah.
That's great
beforehand.
advice.
Probably everybody in the world.
Everyone needs a therapist, honestly. Counselor,
Something.
something.
I talked to a higher power.
That's that too.
That
There's
too.
some-
Alcohol's
Probably-
great
do
too.
We need both? You need
We
like
need
the
all the
counselor, and then
above.
you need like
You need both.
Yeah.
I mean, or all of just
Mhm.
any person's religious higher being. Just send them my way.
Yeah,
I'll
right.
pray to them.
All the good vibes. I need it
I'm
all.
cool with that.
Yeah, I need it all.
But after she told us, we had a really good time, just like you,
Mhm.
getting to know each other even more.
Yeah.
And we were lucky enough to be there when she delivered, which was like so cool. Besides the fact that she pushed 3 times, because
Oh my god.
I was like, that was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You had a baby? He's here?
Yep.
Okay. Could not ever forget that feeling of seeing him and then obviously holding him.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah.
And cool that we all got to be there. She didn't have anyone else besides the 2 of us in the room. So we were kind of like her support, which I'm sure I think about it and I'm like, it probably would have been nice if she didn't have someone at the time to like be there and be that support. But I'm like,
Yeah.
probably would have been good for her to have somebody else besides us. But like we slept in the room with her.
Yeah.
I did that with my third.
I was
See?
gonna
Yeah.
say my
Mhm.
sister did too. My
Yeah.
sister
Yes,
slept with her.
Didn't she live with your sis?
Yeah. For
Okay, I didn't know if I
like
could say
6
that.
weeks. Yeah. No, yeah. My sister already came on the podcast. She shared
Mhm.
that
She
part.
spilled the
Yeah,
beans.
she spilled
Okay.
it all. So yeah, she
okay. So at least I know I'm not completely out of my
No, you're
element
not.
sharing that.
Yeah, no. Nah, she lived with her for about 6 weeks before she delivered. So
That's crazy.
yeah.
It's not crazy. See?
It's a
Why did
little
I say
crazy,
that?
but
Different.
That's a little crazy.
it's yeah,
But
maybe not crazy. What's a good word
It's
for that?
different.
It's different.
It's
It's
different.
not in the norm.
Mm-mm.
No,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had my family in there and then I didn't have the adoptive parents in there, which is
That's
something,
okay.
I go back and forth on because I'm like, I know that would be amazing for them, but I think Ryan and I needed that time to
I think just to compress
choose
that. Yes.
and decide.
I
and-
think it's whatever
Yeah.
is comfortable for you, what
Yeah.
you need
Agreed.
to do.
Well, and I
Yeah.
think it's just different for everyone. Like every
Yeah.
circumstance is so different.
Yes.
So
I do wish there's one thing I'm like, oh, I got to make sure to talk about this because I didn't anticipate. I don't think any of us anticipated this. So there's probably a list of things through the agency that you guys use when someone is prepping to go into delivery of like, these are things you need to think about. These are
Yeah.
things that are necessary for you to like decide. And I don't think any of us just like played through that whole scenario. So there was just one moment of I think I was doing her makeup and she was like, what if I breastfed? And I think in that moment, I just had not prepared myself.
right.
Yeah,
Like,
your moment, your heart just dropped.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. And I don't
Yeah.
mean that as a
No.
negative
No.
to her.
No.
Because now if I think about it, right? Like if I would have had time to process that, I would have been like, whatever you need in that moment, you can do. So I think I had said something. I mean, I was just like shocked at the question.
Yeah.
First off. And then just unprepared. So I was like, it's not my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I probably didn't say it as nice even as I say it now. You guys talk about things that are going to happen post delivery in that weird period of time where like feelings are emotions are high for everybody.
Everyone. Yeah.
Especially in the middle of that when she said that. I mean, because all that would have been brought up prior to the birth of the baby.
And I know that was obviously through Utah Adoption Specialists, they had someone working with her. And I think, I just think that when, I don't know, someone's experienced when they're thinking about placing, but maybe you don't want to have those meetings. Maybe you're not wanting to think about that quite yet. And I can absolutely understand that. I know that she did have someone working with her.
Yeah.
And she delivered a few weeks early too. So like 3 weeks early.
Yeah.
So those would have just been really great questions for like an adoptive family to be like, what are you looking for?
Right.
Do you want to breastfeed? If you do, like, let's find the best ways to support you. Like for me, I probably wouldn't have want to be in there, but if she wanted to do that and I needed to step out, hindsight now, I can see that and go, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And learning more about adoption and learning more about offering options for people that are thinking about placing.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, would that have been the only thing to change her mind? And if it had been, would I really have wanted my son to not have been placed because she didn't breastfeed? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, for me, a good scenario is that someone felt like that was the choice that they were going to make on their own.
Yeah.
And it wasn't influenced by me or anyone else. So now I see it. If we were to ever adopt again, I would 100% be like, yes, whatever you need to do, girl,
you go ahead.
You do it. And if that changes your mind, then we will figure it out.
And did she?
Yeah.
She did not.
Okay.
Yeah.
She did not. If she did, I don't know.
Yeah.
She told me no, but I mean, at this point too, even if she did, I'm like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Even if you did. Sometimes ignorance can be bliss, right?
Yeah.
No,
nice.
That's true.
Well, and I think also like being a birth mom, I think you have this plan going into it and being like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden stuff like that comes up and like thoughts, it could have just been like a thought in her head. It could have been something that maybe she's like, that's kind of weird to me too. I know I would have been like, but am I going to regret not doing that? Or you know what I mean? So I just, like we've said before, I just don't think there's a playbook. I don't think anyone like you. I think you did great. I think you stood your ground and you're like, and that's what I tell myself too, because, my husband and I got married and had 4 other kids together.
Yes.
And so I'm like, of course you can go back. Mm-hmm. We can change different things, but I love how it is now. And I just have to accept that that's how it went. And I love him, and going forward, I'm going to be more aware of certain things and, do better. That's the next challenge that comes,
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, we do the best for like the information that we're given.
Exactly.
And for the timing too. And it's so easy to go into it being like, this is how it's going to be. And then your emotions are like,
yeah, exactly. No, really though.
And that's okay. That's life, right?
Yeah.
But following that, it was really cool to be in there with her. We stayed up like all night long that first night after delivery, just chatting. I remember being like, I am tired.
Yeah.
I am so tired. And then she signed at 48 hours, just when, release of hospital, like when just everything is supposed to be signed and she was released. That's when she signed for relinquishment, which weird for everybody, hard for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't even want to know what it was like for her to be in there with baby Duke. That's what we used to call him. He's not a baby anymore. And, going through and all of the paperwork and the questions. And then you have the adoptive parents. I mean, we were like waiting at the end of the hall. Yeah. Just like,
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, I can't. Yeah, I
It's
can't
all
imagine.
of it, right?
Yeah, I can't imagine.
All of it's hard.
It is. It's really hard. But then at the end of the day, it's beautiful. And I think, it's the storm before the calm, I like to say. It's all straight chaos, and then there's the calm.
There is a calm.
And
yes,
there are a ton of other things that we deal with past
placement,
and
for sure.
both of us, and especially with an open adoption, when you're trying to set those boundaries and you're supposed to, it's so hard. Sure. It's so hard. But I always say, it's just more family for you to love.
That's what we say too.
Yeah,
yes, completely agree.
People to love Duke. So yeah,
I agree with you. I remember getting into the car after delivery, after she had signed, and I think that was the first moment that I was able to be like, oh, this is actually for real.
Yeah.
Of course, when he came into the world, that was really cool. But I knew that there was still maybe an opportunity for things to not be how we thought they would be. And I think I filmed it's that night, and it's a horrible video, and it's me crying, and I'm like, I love him. But I keep it, and Kira's I love that video too.
Yeah,
yes,
I would love that.
Yeah. And then it is a ride after, and it continues to always be a ride.
Oh yeah.
I don't think, that's life for everybody too, but this is our particular challenge, that it comes with a whole set of boundaries and hard conversations and joyous times and hard times.
Yeah.
And ultimately, at the end of the day, it is really cool to me that our son has countless people that are just ready to cheer him on. That's the most important thing. And I think when I align my focus with that, it for sure helps me make better decisions on how to interact.
Yes.
And how to be close.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's, like you said, emotions. They're always going to be there. Oh, and it's so hard, even after you've made boundaries, to be like, okay, is this really what's best for him? Is this what's best for us? Is this what's best for our birth mom?
Yes.
And I mean, like I said, it's been 12 years now, and we still
do it.
We're still trying to figure it out. And the older he gets, the harder it gets, because now he's able to voice his opinion. Yeah, and he really does. And that is what
it's hard for both, I'm sure.
It is, because for me as a birth mom, it's I want to respect her as his mom, and I want to be in his life as much as they want me in his life, but I also don't want to step on anyone's toes. But I also want him to know I love him, and to know that I would do anything for him.
Yes, if you want to come over, come
on over.
If you don't feel comfortable coming over, then don't come over.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But I think that part is kind of wild too. That transition and change. I think about that often, how am I going to answer this question? And then sometimes my counselor is like, well, you're not the only one that will answer questions. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay.
Good. I have other people to help me.
She'll be there too. Okay, cool. She'll be there to help answer. But yeah, ultimately, he decides, even if my mom comes to games, grandma or grandpa, or just parents or friends, or birth mom Kira, is she coming?
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah, it is.
And you're like,
it's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think putting as an adoptive parent, being I actually would love if she came. It would not bother me at all. But you could see how some people would be like, I want some of my things sometimes.
Yeah.
Without birth parents there.
Yeah.
You get that.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Yeah. But yeah, it's weird, because he'll get to a point where he can be like, Mom, I don't even know if I want you to come. Hopefully he wants me there.
Sorry, I'm laughing because I
can
see my own children doing that.
Oh, he's so sassy.
Oh,
right,
yeah. So mine are too. I can see mine
respect that. But on one hand, it's it is hard, and at the other hand, I'm like, well, this is your life.
Yeah.
And you get to choose it too.
Yeah. And I think that's what is hard for my sister too. She tells me this all the time. She's like, I want to do what's best for him. I really do. But this is so hard for me. And I'm having a hard time with this. And I'm like, yeah. And at the end of the day, this is the path you took with adoption. And you knew. Yeah. And that's the thing. That's why I always tell people is educate yourself as much as you can, because
you don't know.
You have no idea
what you're signing up for.
As long as you have a baseline, and you can be prepared for the things that are going to get thrown at you, That
Yes.
helps.
Yes.
But does it? No. You know, it's just like anything in life. Like you just have to take it day by day, hour by hour sometimes. And
So
figure
true.
it out. And
I
I
agree.
think, I mean, my sister, she loves Hutch so much and she stresses about him constantly.
All the time.
Like even at birthday parties, did everyone give Hutch something? I don't want him to feel left out.
Yes.
Yeah, we all love him
We
like
all
our
do.
own.
Yep.
Like he's ours. He was adopted into this family. We all love
We
him.
are
We
here.
all care about him. And, you know, she's always like, am I treating him right? Like, do you think,
Am I doing it right?
yeah, are these brothers gonna know that we love them any different? Like we just want them to know they're both loved. They're both our kids.
No.
And it's hard. It's really hard.
We go through those questions all the time too.
Yeah.
In fact, like our second daughter. Well,
Yeah.
that was weird. Our second child, our daughter,
Yeah.
we ended up doing embryo adoption. So she came into this world a little bit differently. Still
Yeah.
not through our genetics, but I did carry, I did deliver. You know, you go through that weird postpartum, like your emotions are
Oh, yeah.
crazy and you do bond.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have talked about like, will he feel okay about that? Like we talked about that beforehand. And I think at
Sure.
the end of the day, it's so hard because you play this guessing game of trying to predict your child's experience.
Yeah. Right?
Will he be okay?
Yeah.
And will he be okay with this? I'm not sure. He's 3.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are like, how are you telling him about his story? I'm like, well, he knows that there's he knows he has a birth
tummy
mom. I don't
yeah.
know if he knows what that means.
What that means exactly. Yeah.
He's only 3.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, he knows about as much as he can say the alphabet, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, you worry about those things all the time and
Yeah.
you want like to be prepared for the questions or the feelings that they have. And I totally have to remind myself all the time, the most important thing is that he feels like he's heard.
Yeah.
And that whatever emotion that he is having about it, even if it maybe makes me feel uncomfortable, is cool. And that's why I see a counselor. That's why I see
Yeah.
someone to be like, this is hard.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do what is best. But I don't know what is the best thing. Or this
Yeah.
is just making me feel, sad. And it
Yeah.
shouldn't make me feel sad because it's not about me. So I think at the end of the day, having like your own support too, and realizing this isn't just about, yes, it's about creating a family. Oh, I'm gonna cry.
No, go ahead.
No,
I know. No, I just
this is it. Yeah.
I just wanted to tell you that this is kind of what I said. I commented on one of your posts that you
Yeah.
made. And the fact that you care so much,
Yeah.
the fact that you're going to counseling. I mean, how many
Yeah.
moms don't take that time
For
to
sure.
go? Like I
Oof.
want you to know, like I've followed you for a long time. You are a really good mom.
Thank you.
And your kids are going to know that they're loved and they're going to know that they can turn to you and that, I really admire you for the way you are going about things and you're educating people on social media and the people around you and you inspire more people than you even know.
Oh, that's so thoughtful. I appreciate that.
No,
more
I
than you
and I
know.
really mean it because I
I know
how hard it is. And
Yeah.
I mean, I personally don't. But
But
I
it's a
watch my
different-
sister
yeah.
go through it. I watch my birth son, he
Yeah.
has 4 full siblings that don't
Yeah.
live with him. And even though they have this connection with each other and they love each other, is that going to be enough? Like there's
Mhm.
times
Yeah,
I
you
think
think
just
about
being
that.
a mom, like no matter what kind of mom you are,
Oh, you have that.
you're going to have,
Yeah.
first of all, and I say this on every podcast, you're going to mess them up. Like I
Oh,
tell
yeah,
my
I
daughter
think
all the
just going
time.
through it.
Yeah, just life
We
is
just
going to
know
mess them
that.
up. Yeah. I tell my daughter all the time, I promise I'll pay for your therapy. I'm doing the best I can right now. Like you just got to work with me here. Okay.
I promise to.
I'm here for you.
to
Whatever
give
you
to
need.
give you the help that you
Yes.
need from the trauma.
From the
I
trauma
give
that
you.
I'm giving you constantly. I love you.
Oh.
But
no, I agree
it's
with you.
hard. It's hard being a mom in general. It's just so hard.
Yeah, that is. And you aren't going to always do it right.
No.
I think if anything to know is that you aren't going to do it
Mm-hmm.
right, but just allowing space for them to have those feelings. And at least we're in the generation that's like, yeah, we did maybe messed that up.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And let's do something about that. So,
Yeah.
but it has been really cool to watch all the people around him love him.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't have a ton of contact with his birth dad, but we have his number.
Yeah.
We have his social media.
Mhm.
And I'm just happy that if and when there's a time that Duke has questions too, that
Yeah.
there's an open spot for him to even reach out
Yeah.
to his birth dad and, ask questions
Yeah.
there too.
Yeah. So embryo adoption.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that because I'm not educated in that at all.
Yeah, I know nothing about it either.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's one thing. I feel like my little adoption platform had like so not many people.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
No, but to the people that are on there, it's kind of turned into more of an education on that point because it's totally not talked about very much at all. And I didn't know really anything about it either. So I think there was I knew one person like distantly that was like, hey, this is an option. And I think I remember being like, we're adopting.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I don't need that. And then as time went on, I was like, okay, I want to learn a little bit more about that. So did a little bit of research on it, and being in that social media what am I saying? Being in that social media. Oh, that laugh is just the worst.
No.
Okay.
I'm glad I'm not alone.
No, it's fine. Being from the era of social media, took to Facebook, which the younger generation will hate on that. But.
Right. I always get made fun of for Facebook. I'm like, when did it turn to the old people? I know.
So I joined a couple of groups on there.
Yeah.
And I think they were just like embryo. I just searched embryo adoption, groups.
Yeah.
Ended up adding myself. And of course, like I told you, it's like 100 steps in front of my husband, Drake. He's like, I didn't know you were looking into that. And I was like, yeah, remember that one time I texted you about it in the day at work?
Oh my gosh, you sound like me.
So
that's so funny.
I hopped on there and I just thought I'm going to ask questions because it's a resource.
Right.
So I put a picture of our family. I wasn't looking for embryos.
Yeah.
And I guess I should rewind and say that most of the time embryo adoption comes to fruition because someone has done IVF and they've completed their family.
Yeah.
And then they have extra embryos. And, there's only so many options. You donate if you have extra embryos. Yeah. You can have them unfrozen and discarded. You can donate them to science. So, when you do IVF, you can decide. I mean, I'm sure you can change your mind even if you've written something beforehand because they'll store them for you. But that's how embryo adoption kind of comes to fruition is people have extra embryos. They have completed their family and they want to place them with families that normally can't conceive. So I put our picture in these groups, I think both of the groups, and I was just giving a little spiel. Hey, we adopted a son. I'm looking into this. Can some of you guys answer some questions? Kid you not, the day that I put that in this group, Heidi, that is the female donor, she was like, hey, I sent you a personal message. And I was like,
okay.
I was just wanting I just wanted someone to answer a question.
I don't need personal messages. Thank you.
So I opened up that message and it was just like, I think they had over 14 embryos.
Wow.
And I think that was 14 tested. So they must have had it. Wow. I think they have more that are untested too. Embryos. And we're looking to get to know people.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about placing our embryos and we'd like to get to know you and your husband. I was like, I think I messaged Drake and I was like, well, we are FaceTiming these people on this date.
Was this before
so
or
be
after
ready.
He was on the same page as you?
I mean, he's awesome. I need to I have to lead with that because I feel just like a dog owner, but the dog is like walking behind and not in front. And I'm like, this is what we're doing. And he's like, I'm following. Yeah. I'm just a few steps behind. So he was on board, but I think that he's always like, Stacia, that's a little presumptuous. He was prepared. And I think after I told him that, and at that time too, we were both really in the it's feeling right. Is it feeling right to you? And just because you adopt the embryos doesn't mean you have to move forward with a transfer for IVF.
Sure.
And it doesn't even mean that they would want to place with us because they are just getting to know people.
Yeah.
So we ended up having a FaceTime call with them, and they have 2 daughters that were from a previous marriage, and then they have a son together that they did IVF together for. And so it was cute. I remember seeing him on there just being like, oh, okay, so like that little baby would maybe look like this little baby,
I
you know?
love that. Yeah.
And it felt really good. I think that us being already in the open adoption world with our son, I think that they were maybe a little bit more closed off than I was hoping in the beginning. They didn't ever say that to me, but I am just Miss Open.
Yeah.
Like, yes.
Like me.
Do you want me to stay at your house? Maybe I could stay there. I don't know. Just kidding. No, but
anything. What do you want me to do?
They wanted, they wanted it open, and I was like, if you guys want to come see us, we'll come see you. If we're out there, I want to see you too, you know?
Yeah.
If you want to tag me on anything, you can tag me on anything. I don't care.
Yeah.
So they ended up placing or telling us, yeah, hey, like this feels good and we'd like to move forward. And that process is different than adoption.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because there's like a contract written out for embryo adoption.
Really?
Yes. Not like
I'm not laughing. It's just crazy that
it's
that
so
you would
interesting
never
to me.
even, you would never even think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and it's weird because embryos are considered, and everyone has a different belief upon, like with when it comes to conception, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
So they're actually considered property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
So
mean,
it's like a contract written out of property.
Okay.
Like this
Like
was
an
your property in
exchange of property.
exchange of property.
Okay.
That's why there is a contract.
Exchange
Yeah,
of
makes
ownership.
sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I maybe should have glanced at that before I came, but just to be even more on top of my game. But
That's okay.
No,
you
you're
obtain
good.
an attorney. It's normal for you as the people that are hoping to receive to help the donor couple obtain an attorney and that be your expense. They were like, no, we don't need it. Obviously, you go over the contract and you go over terms, and it's not like we can see them once a month. We can see it. The contract is pretty much like, does everyone feel okay with like sharing on social media? Does everyone feel okay about, realizing that this property is now in the hands of this person?
And it's
Yeah.
your
Stuff like that. It's not like a
responsibility.
custody, agreement.
Right,
Nothing
right.
like that. But
Makes sense.
you obtain an attorney. You do have to have like a psychological evaluation, which is it's funny. They really should just call it like you meet with a counselor one time and they just make sure that, you're feeling prepared.
Yeah.
The psych eval.
It's not like a home study then.
No, you don't have to complete a home study.
No.
But you do have to talk with a counselor, which I just hate how they call it a psych eval. You just like when you hear that, you're like,
I know. I'm like,
but I'm not psychotic.
or am I? I don't want you to do that.
Exactly. So, once everything was written up, and it was so funny because the attorney that like they bring you what is kind of normal for people that are doing embryo donation / adoption. People use those terms interchangeably.
Yeah.
But it was like, you cannot talk about this on social media. You cannot do this. And I was like, that needs to. I'll be changed. I mean, if everyone agrees.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I do share.
Yeah.
For
and
a
it's your
reason.
family too. And that,
Yeah,
and you do have a platform.
her story.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was really cool. And I think we obtained the embryos maybe a couple months after we had chatted with them.
Did you get all of the embryos?
So they donated to us and to another couple.
Okay, that's
and we have, now that our daughter's here, I think we have 2 more female tested embryos, 2 more male tested embryos, and then 1 untested.
Okay.
And
So
are you
you have
guys
5
gonna
total.
have?
No.
Oh, you're okay.
It's
I
so
had to
hard
ask.
because with
Oh, I
IVF,
know.
you just don't know if the first time
Yes.
is going to
Right.
work,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if you are going to do it, and I also wanted to share this part too, and I'll for sure get emotional. With adoption, it is heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching someone else, like as an adoptive mom, and watching a birth mom, like go through all the things that they go through, and then even being there for support for that birth mom. I really did wanted to take into consideration, can I do that and be as involved with like 2 more birth moms?
Yeah.
That's really hard.
It's
guys.
a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that the more that time goes on, the more comfortable everybody is, and it becomes less difficult. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
in ways.
So I totally agree with you on that because
Yeah.
the way I am as a birth mom compared to my birth son's other
Yes.
birth mom, not other birth mom.
Adoptive mom.
Yeah.
Yes.
No. Sorry.
Your sister's.
Oh, okay.
No. So call my birth son. Sorry.
Yes.
So my birth son, he has a little brother.
Oh, yes. That was also adopted.
Yes. And so me as a birth mom and her as a birth mom, we are complete
Different.
opposites of each other.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and it's hard. It's a lot to navigate.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And so I am totally on board
and
with
that's
what you're
the thing
saying.
is that all four of mine, I have no contact with any of mine.
And
Yeah.
that's, and I'm sure that's hard.
And it's hard on theirs. I except my son, my youngest. Our family's different because my youngest son, his biological sister ended up placing 2 of her kids to 2 different of my siblings.
Oh my gosh.
So it's really, he's the uncle to these 2. And if you're
Biologically.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
but now they're cousins.
Yes.
So he has a connection. And my 2 girls have a connection because they're biological siblings.
Yes.
And 10 and a half months apart. It's my third one that doesn't. And my third one is I have pictures and that's it.
Mhm.
And I tried to keep contact with her. And she was the only one he was the one we were able to see born. And I'm like, that's the closest to birth that I ever got or would
Yes.
ever get to. So I was grateful for that. And he was my
That
third
experience,
child.
yep.
Yeah.
But she, after 2 years, said, don't send me anything. Don't write me. Don't. And
Which I think that's hard.
And
I
so it was
know.
difficult. And my girls, I can't get information. I've tried
Yes.
numerous
That's
times.
so hard.
And I can't. I mean, with my oldest, it was a closed. But then because we got her sister 10 and a half months later, she had another child.
Yeah, it's a little bit open.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
she decided to do open, but still I can't find any information. I contact the agency, no luck. But at
Yeah.
least they know what a sibling would look like because
Right,
they
for
could just
sure.
look
Yeah,
at
they
each
have
other.
each other.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true. Like a little piece of the
Yeah.
puzzle is
Yeah,
okay.
unless they look like my sister and I. We
Yes.
look nothing
Total
alike.
opposite.
I mean,
Oh
that's
my
just how
gosh.
it goes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Oh,
look
yeah.
nothing
People say
alike.
that all the time. People see my kids and they're like, they look so much like you. I'm like,
Oh, I get that with my
like,
stepdad all the
this is me.
time.
I'm like, well, they're not. They're the same race. So
Yeah.
we're white and they're fair.
Then that's
And,
enough.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I honestly don't mind people making that comment. I just don't like it when people say, well, like, this was so meant to be,
Yeah.
because there's so much more to that narrative. It's so
Sure.
complex.
Well,
for
Yeah.
those kids.
You know, when you were talking about going through infertility when you were first married, we had a friend. He got his girlfriend pregnant,
Mhm.
and he said, "Well, I guess God wanted us to have a baby now." And in my mind, I'm like thinking that's unfair.
Oh, for sure, right?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay,
What about all?
well, I mean,
Yeah.
we were trying to have a child.
Yeah.
And so it was difficult. It's so difficult. And everybody asking, it took 5 years for us. We
Yeah.
were married for 5 years, I think.
We were
when we
about
got
4
it first.
years before we adopted.
Yeah, before we got ours. And so it's hard. I mean, with
Yeah.
everyone, you go to church and everyone's
my
like,
gosh.
oh, are you pregnant yet? Are you trying? I'm like,
I know.
please don't ask me that question.
I started just being like, we can't have kids.
Just make him feel really uncomfortable.
I'm like, you asked.
Yeah, I know. See, that's good.
You
I
feel
should
like
do
that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I for sure thought about the capacity. How did I want to show up for a birth mom? And
Yeah.
could I do that
Yeah.
for multiple birth moms? If it was at that same, that's like saying if it was at the same openness, right? And,
Right.
and would I be okay if it wasn't?
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
would I be so sad for my other
Mhm.
kids
Yes.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
don't have contact? So,
Yeah.
or if they didn't. So that was one thing that was nice about embryo adoption / donation is that they wanted to be there. They can be there,
Mhm.
but because no one went through the process of having a baby,
Yeah.
I did that.
Yeah.
I mean, the level of emotion that's inside of it is like so much lower.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not saying one is better than the other, but like it
Yeah.
is less intense.
Sure.
That is for sure.
Yeah.
And that makes sense, right? Because carrying a baby, guys, like they're like
It's
that
tough.
would be so after carrying a baby that after carrying my daughter, and I think about someone placing, I'm like, that is hard.
Yeah.
Because, you know, that little thing has been with you for a long
Mhm.
time. And
Yeah.
gosh. So anyway, I've been so happy to have both experiences, and I'm excited that we do have another embryo if we want another. I think that that's the plan, but she's also 7 months old. So
Yeah.
people are still asking.
You're just trying to survive
People
right
are
now.
already
Yeah.
asking, like, how do you know? And you're like,
Please
I'm
don't
still
ask right
nursing.
now.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm technically still making it work. So
Yeah.
anyways, but it has been a ride and a journey, and we do have an open relationship with them. They don't live here. So
Okay.
we haven't met them in person, but we also have contact with the other couple that they donated to.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
they had a little girl a month after us.
Oh, wow.
And it is so fun to
Yeah.
like see the
See-
resemblance.
yeah.
And we chat just on social media every now and again and have like a group, we call it like a group mamas chat, where it's
I
like
love
the
that.
donor and the 2 recipients. And we'll
That's
be like, this
awesome.
is like an update on our
Yes,
babies and this
Mhm.
is what's happening. And
That's
I
sweet.
don't know, the whole gamut of all the gamut of emotions that you go through to reach this point, and even looking back through our infertility and how low I felt,
Yeah.
and now seeing what it is turned into. And yes, it's complex, and yes, it comes with its hardships, but ultimately, for me at least, there are so many really joyous parts of it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Mm.
there you guys go on embryo adoption.
That's
You're
amazing.
welcome.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. And I would love to have your birth mom and you maybe
Yes.
come on.
She would be so down. And
Yeah.
she's fun. She's a hoot.
Okay. I would love
I
that.
do want to talk about just one last thing.
Yeah, of course.
I hope that the negative connotation around birth moms and birth families goes away,
Mhm.
or gets just a little bit better. Because sometimes people will make the comment to me, like, that's so cool that you adopted. That child is probably in such, I mean, people don't really say in such better hands, that people are like, oh my gosh, that child's to be so grateful. Yeah. And the truth is that in our scenario, Kira, who is my son's birth mom, she's an awesome mama. And yes, I'm so grateful that we ended up having our son that way. But if things were to have been different, and if she had decided to parent him, she already is an excellent mom and would have been an excellent mom to him. And in some way, she is a mom to him that I can never be. And I'm okay with that. And I'm glad that he has the opportunity to get to know her and get to ask her questions. And, you know, even from a history perspective of, you know, what was cool in her family. But I just hope that people don't go into adoption thinking that you're always saving somebody, or, you know, doing this great deed. It shouldn't really be like that. And not all birth parents are on drugs or 16. Sometimes they are.
Yeah.
Not very often.
But not very often.
No, not very
No.
often.
And so let's
Yeah.
like change that
Yeah.
and stop, you know, belittling people.
Well, I think that as an adoptive mom too, is I always say I adopted for selfish reasons, and it was for me because I wanted to be a mother. So I wasn't going into it thinking, "Oh, I'm doing this amazing thing by."
No.
I mean, adopted parents, majority of them, that's not why they're doing it. So we want
No.
to be parents.
Yes.
And this is our way of doing that.
Being parents. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would never want to downplay the significance of
That birth mom
Of
and
a
the
birth mom.
sacrifice.
yeah, and just she really is a great person and doesn't need to be, you know, talked about in a narrative that is negative.
Yes.
So
No.
anyway, I've so appreciated coming on here and sharing my story, our story. It's like a collection of people now. But I always love chatting about it and hoping that doing so it can help other people realize that there's more than one way to create a family
Yeah.
at the end of the day. And even if it comes to you in numerous ways,
Yeah.
that it doesn't make it wrong.
Yep.
So
I
I
agree.
appreciate you.
Thank you for
Thank
those words. Really. Thank you.
I
I was like so close. I'm like, hold it together. Hold it together.
Girl,
So-
don't cry.
Yeah. Don't cry.
I'm just kidding. No, I thank you so much.
No, thank you.